A guy named Critter, workplace sabotage, Steve's terrible cliffhanger on this episode of Jim Joe Steve Show.
Here's a story about 20 years ago. Three bros who grew up in Baltimore to the beach show. Every summer they had to go before they got married with kids. Now they all grown. Long trips to New York and Toronto. Playing beer pong with Captain Morgan's. Free throws. And if you don't know, now you know. Coming in hot. Jim Joe Steve Show.
All right, welcome back. We are getting into this Jim Joe Steve Show. I am here with my buddies, Jim.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing good, Steve.
I'm doing fantastic.
It's good to hear. I'm Joe, and I'm also doing good. If that sound would stop, what the hell is that sound?
It's your fist hitting the table.
No, that grinding sound. It's upstairs. What is that noise?
Oh, that's my robot vacuum cleaner.
What do you?
It's my Roomba.
You're so fancy. Automated everything in this house.
Well, I'm very against the. I think we talked about this before. I will refuse to have a cleaning service.
Oh, right.
And really, the only thing that gets dirty in my house is my
floors.
floors. So.
Because you have a horse running around your house all the time.
That's true.
Jim has a huge dog. That's what that reference
But I
is.
also have a slight phobia of vacuum cleaners.
What?
I think I told you guys that story back when I was in high school.
No.
I don't think so.
Like the culminating moment to make you afraid of vacuum cleaners?
I get that I forget everything. I don't think I would forget this.
It was.
Can you turn it off?
No, I can't because then I have to go clean the floors. I know. I told you this
mopping your
story.
floor?
Well, I do. I have a mop as well, but they're two separate machines. Well, it mops.
For a person that's afraid of vacuum cleaners,
He's surrounding himself by this scary
I
technology.
know. It's like iRobot.
It's not that I'm afraid of that. I have a slight phobia of actually doing the vacuum cleaning. The vacuum cleaner can vacuum itself.
This is something he made up. He was like, "Oh man, if I tell whatever girl I'm dating at the time that I'm scared of vacuuming,
God, he just
she'll
plants
never
seeds.
make me do it." I know.
He's
He's very
planting
strategic.
seeds.
I mean, I do have a legit reason. I know I've told you the story back when I was working at a sign shop.
Try
No.
me.
Oh God. This goes way back, way before I was a responsible human being.
So about the car pillow time.
Actually, I think I worked there. This story, yes, because I had the Cavalier. So I worked at a sign shop, which is basically
A shop that makes signs.
It makes signs. It makes any sign. Any
Thanks
sign,
for explaining.
neon signs, whatever. And I was hired as part of the work release for school. You know where you go to work half day. You know.
Yeah.
Did
Did you do it just so you could get out of school?
That's why everybody
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, absolutely. So it was not a very serious job, and they didn't really like me at all there. I think they might get a tax write-off. I'm not exactly sure why they hired me.
Was this prison work release or?
It felt like it. So my job, in theory, was just to sit in the stock room. And I think it was because everyone else that worked there would steal shit. So my job was just
security guard.
I was a glorified security guard, and then when the trucks came,
This
I
high
unloaded.
schooler in there stopping these grown men from doing.
The guy that also worked there was quite a bit older than me. They worked in the stock room. His nickname was Critter.
Why don't we have cool nicknames like that?
I don't know. So
Oh, you have tons of friends with weird with names.
he was a
Tuna
cool dude.
can.
Tuna can. So I don't know. Twitter. What was Critter? If you're out there, I'm sure who knows where that guy ended up. But
He's since upgraded to Twitter.
yeah, Twitter, Critter on Twitter. So there was this old,
What did he look like?
exactly how you think a guy named. mullet, long hair, lots of tats, real skinny, scrawny, scraggly goatee, maybe a half of a mustache.
Did he grow up and go by JJ?
Is he angry at the world all the time?
He was actually very happy. He was, I think, also probably a lot of. I don't know.
So his name
Because
was
he was out on prison release.
he was real happy to be there.
Yeah.
So his name wasn't Critter. His name was Critter. Hey, Critter.
He loved it. It wasn't like people
Is
called him
Jimmy
that.
coming from school?
We had a good time. There was this janitor there. He was about 80 some years old. I'm not one to really make fun of
I'll tell you
anyone, but
what.
he made a lot of bad life choices to still be working.
This time shop, they just hired whoever the hell walked through the door.
Yeah.
Well,
only people on work release programs, whether it be from school or prison.
Or a nursing home.
This guy seen some shit, let me tell you.
My fingers hurt.
He had tattoos either from the military or out of jail.
He had an anchor and a teardrop. It's a coin toss.
He just reminded me of the guy at 80 years old. He would still swing on you. He did not give a fuck. He was just pissed that he was still working.
I mean, at 80 years old, I understand.
And
Hence
I
the poor
also
life
think
choices.
he was mad at me because he saw me as the guy they hired to replace him.
Oh, he was the old security.
That young buck's moving in on my turf.
And so his job, he had a cushy job. He would just vacuum the front office, by the secretaries, by all the head people's office, and he did the trash, but he didn't really do anything else.
Oh, so this was a money laundering place.
I'm talking about a janitor guy. So I think he set me up with has to be the best prank that anyone has ever played on me in my entire life.
This 80-year-old man.
Yes. It was such a long planned out prank that this dude had no other ambition but just to get me fired.
Okay.
It was malicious.
Yes.
I was gonna say that's why you worked there for so long, because he kept you there so he could play this prank on you. But if it was to get you fired, I guess that wasn't the.
I don't even
impetus.
Was there a moment where you now, I mean, I don't know what happens, but does, thinking back on it, you can be like, this is the moment he was like, I'm gonna fucking get rid of this guy.
Let's keep acting. Let's keep asking assumptive questions so Jim can never tell the story.
So homeboy gets his 1 week out of the year vacation, and it's my job to take over his duties,
Which is vacuuming the front office.
which is vacuum the front. And mind you, I was never allowed in the front office. My first day I walked through because I didn't know how to get to the actual warehouse part of the job. So I walked through the front doors like any other customer that I guess would be ordering a sign off the street. I don't know really why. And I walked through, the secretaries, and they were nice enough people. But about an hour later, my manager comes up to me and says, "Never walk through the front office again."
God, you knew this job was going to be good gold from the beginning.
Jim was like, I just want to go back to my corporate job wearing khakis selling ADT door to door.
I never had a corporate job. This is in high school.
No, I know.
Okay, so that sets the scene of me not being allowed around the front office people. There was one front office manager who, if the janitor hated me on a level 8, this guy hated me on a level 10.
Did he have a cool nickname?
I couldn't tell you what this guy's nickname
What
is.
the hell do you think Jim did, walking in there
I
every day
was-
to make all these people hate him?
I was just a young punk-looking dude.
Did you have
Dreads.
dreads?
Dreads.
This is dreads.
Dreads. It was the
Yeah,
dreads. That's
yeah.
what it is.
I mean, it made it look like I just didn't give a shit. But in all fairness,
You did.
you did.
this job I did not give a shit.
You were just, I'm getting out of school early.
That's it. But this other manager, who will be an integral part of this story, he was best described as a scrawny, very Jewish-looking man, beady eyes, glasses, always wore a suit that just looked like he hasn't been suit shopping since late 80s. So that's painting the picture for this dude. So
He had his always be closing. He's like, I never need another one.
Steak knives.
Just funerals, got it. Weddings, got it. Same suit, crushing it.
I get the vacuum cleaner, and I go to the front office to start vacuuming. And this isn't like a commercial vacuum cleaner of any sorts. This was the vacuum cleaner that your grandparents had, where the head of the vacuum cleaner has a long pole, and then it has a tube that hooks to the main part
and
that
it was
you
like, and it was
wheel
like
behind you.
brown.
It was definitely brown and then dark brown. Like that was the colors, brown and dark brown.
It's a great combo.
So I'm wheeling this son of a bitch around, vacuuming the hallway, vacuuming around the secretaries, and it's kind of winding out a little bit, but I wasn't allowed to vacuum before because I wasn't allowed up to that area.
But this was your chance.
I was getting it, right? This is my chance to step it up. And I'm vacuuming with a smile.
Next, I'll be making these signs. I'll be making all the St. Pauli girl signs.
It's kind of winding out a little bit, like wee, like really more high pitch than I would imagine this vacuum cleaner to really sounding like, meaning like.
It didn't sound good.
It didn't sound good, but I didn't know what it should have sounded like because it's the first time I've ever used this vacuum cleaner. So anyway, I'm vacuuming the hallway, and I get to that manager's office, and his door is 90% closed but not shut.
That's very pessimistic. Could have been 10% open.
Well, to me, it was 10% open.
Because he was a pie-eyed youth.
And my job was to vacuum the offices. So I just pushed that son of a bitch right open, and there the guy sits on the other. He's at his desk, hating me because I'm interrupting whatever the hell this guy's doing, writing down on a piece of paper. I don't know what he was doing in his office, but he was sitting there looking,
slinging signs.
God,
so I kind of give him a like, "Hey, what's up?" And meanwhile, this vacuum cleaner is like, wee. Like,
so while you're just vacuuming while you're talking to him?
Well, there's not really much talking because it's loud.
Yeah.
And I'm already interrupting this guy, and his door was mostly shut. I think he would assume that it would have been shut, like don't come in, but it wasn't clicked in.
10% open.
That's so optimistic.
I just opened it up, and my job was to clean the office. I didn't want to not do my job. So I'm just vacuuming.
And you don't know when you're going to be allowed in this front office
I'm
again.
I'm never being allowed back once the old janitor comes back. I mean, I'm sent back to the back of the warehouse. So I'm vacuuming, and I'm wheeling this 6-foot-long vacuum cleaner in behind me, and I get it in, and his office is maybe a 12 by 12. I'm not very. It wasn't that large, so it wasn't going to be in there that long. And next thing I hear, it's really starting to wee. It's really starting to grind out.
What's the time frame from like starting this to like where you're at this point? Where it's
when
like
I first started vacuuming,
yeah,
maybe 5-10 minutes.
All right,
like it's not that big of a place.
Much shorter than the length of time of this story.
Yeah. So I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I don't know if he's looking at me because he hates me or because he already knows the vacuum isn't sounding the way that it should sound.
And that you should know that it
and
doesn't
I should know.
Oh, he's like, my fucking door was 90%
Right.
closed. Why did you open this?
So next thing that happens is the sound I'll never forget. It was like, bagoosh! A fucking bomb blows up. That janitor had packed that bag so tight on the vacuum cleaner that it could not suck up any more dust. So it had to blow up.
In this guy's office?
In this guy's office. The fucking bag, the vacuum cleaner top blows off. And
Mount Vesuvius.
it is, the whining is like, wee! And like the whole office fills up with dust. You couldn't see a foot in front of your face, and I'm not shitting you. It was like a bomb. The secretaries come running in because it sounded like a legit bomb blowing up. And it just keeps winding, and it's blowing out. So the smoke, the dust is just blowing out all in the office. And finally I hear him go, "Turn it off!" Which didn't dawn on me to do before because I was a little shocked. Like, I didn't know exactly what the hell was going on.
Jim was like, "Oh, look at this big new mess I have to clean up."
I just went from vacuuming to not being able to see
vacuum some shit.
like what the hell was going on. So I'm like tracing this cord back, like, and I yank it out of the wall. So all of a sudden it's just very quiet. And I walk back in the office because it was plugged in out of the hallway, and the dust starts to settle.
You just see the guy open his eyes.
This guy was frozen in time. He did not move. His hand was still to the pen, to the paper.
God, and please say there was dust piled up.
There was a half-inch dust over the entire office, in his hair, all over his suit, his entire desk. You could not distinguish one thing from another because it was just straight dust.
God, and he didn't move.
He did not. I think he was
rage in his.
He was shaking.
Body.
The pen was shaking. And then he stays. I swear this is like a fucking movie. He stays perfectly still, just moves his hands, and takes his glasses off. And there's two perfectly undusted circles where his eyes were. And I couldn't help because it was the fucking funniest thing I ever seen. So I start to kind of like smirk a little bit, and he looks at me and goes, "Get the fuck out of my office." So I just wheeled the bits of the vacuum cleaner out. And I go to lunch because I don't know what else to do. There's nothing else for me to do. It's way too big of a mess that they need to bring in a team for this.
They need to bring in a vacuum that works.
Although they need to bring in that janitor.
Get the old guy back from vacation.
No.
So the next day I come to work.
Did you come back from lunch?
I did, and it was the word had spread. The whole warehouse,
of course, the bomb just went
whole
off in their
warehouse knew about it. So I don't know. It was just one of those days where all of a sudden I was very popular at the back of the warehouse. I come in the next day, and my manager's talking with the owner of the company about something unrelated, I'm sure. I walk past, and I overhear the owner going, "What the hell does he do around here?" And my manager said, "Absolutely nothing." I was fired that Friday.
You should be like, but who's going to provide you security in the back room?
I never saw the janitor again. Like, I was fired before he came back on his fucking week's vacation.
That's awesome.
I swear, like it was the best.
He came back and like leaned back in the chair, like mission accomplished.
Threaten my job, will you, youngster? I think that's a testament to how well things were built back then. Because now, if you overload a vacuum, the motor just burns out. But that thing's like, I'm powering through this paper bag inside this canvas bag, and I'm blowing it off
It blew the lid clear off, not open, off, and ripped the bag in half. That it was just blowing the dust all in. I mean, if it was a scene in a movie, you would say it's too outlandish. But
You're like, this could never happen in real life.
Oh my God. That was a good one.
Yeah.
So now I bought a Roomba to vacuum for me.
When he's too full, he takes himself to the corner and empties himself out.
Pop quiz, motherfuckers.
You guys both drank your beers at the same time. I didn't know.
That's when you have to take over.
Oh well.
You need anything.
How do you like that beer, Joe?
It's great.
Tonight we are drinking Lagunitas IPA, Indian Pale Ale. It's
classic.
Actually one of my favorite beers.
This was one of the big. This was one of the IPAs that was like first big into mainstream, like the Dogfish 60, Lagunitas, the Sierra Nevada, like.
Oh. I do like a Sierra now, although they are a little heavy.
A little hoppy, a little too hoppy.
And I love Sam Adams, But there's something in Sam Adams like stuffs me up, like the wheat. I don't know, can't do it.
Everything stuffs you up.
Well, that's true. I did just fucking had to put a show on pause and go poop for 10 minutes.
God,
It's because we keep it professional here at Jim Joe Steve Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Jim Joe Steve.
Nothing like a poop segue
I know.
into a little promo.
was that your worst job that you ever had?
Oh, my first day working at Jiffy Lube. Actually, I worked there on the weekends. My first
Enough said, Jiffy Lube. Joe?
I was young. I was maybe 15, 16. One of my first jobs. Two quick stories on that. My first day, I got a van's doors ripped off. My first day at work. It was one of those.
Like you ripped the doors
Like you
off
backed
a
it
van?
up with the doors open?
Well, I was a vacuum cleaner boy at the time.
Oh,
Shut
so,
up, really?
I never put
so
two
you
and
wrote
two
that on your
together.
resume? Vacuum experience?
I never put that together. It's all adding up. Holy son of a bitch! I thought it was just that one. I have years of trauma.
Wait, was the Jiffy Lube after the sign store? Before the sign
Yeah.
store. Oh, so the sign store was the traumatic
That was
icing
the-
on the cake,
right.
and that's when you couldn't do it. Oh, man.
I was vacuuming out this. It was a big old conversion van, not the minivans that you see today.
Like the kinds that had like the TV and the
Like the
back
two
seat, like folded
swivel-
out
yeah,
to the bed.
yeah.
Yeah. Captain's
So
chairs.
I don't know if they still do
We
this,
had
but
one of
back in the
those.
day, we used to have to vacuum inside of people's cars. That was my job. So I'm vacuuming out the van, and then I didn't know the code word for "Hey, we're done" is like, "We're done." Beep beep, and then somebody gets in the van or the car, and beep beeps, and you head out. I'm vacuuming, and I see the guy who should have saw me vacuuming, but it was a big ass van.
Or heard you vacuuming.
That's true, but there are also vacuums going the whole time. Starts to pull out. I'm fearing for my life.
Are you
so
in the van?
I'm in the van. It starts to pull out, and the vacuums aren't a normal vacuum. They're attached.
Right,
They're-
right. It's like a
so
big hose that's
it could have
attached
just
to the
yanked
wall.
me out if I
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
held onto it long enough. But I jump out of fear. I don't close the door. The door hits the bay of the side of the wall as it pulls out and bends the whole thing back.
Like a Tommy boy.
Yeah. I get Shortly after that, not the same day, but shortly after, we used to drive the cars in,
Yeah.
and then there's a guy that's wheeling you in like if you're in a 747.
Tell me you dumped one down in the bay in the middle.
No, but I was getting in this guy's car, and this guy says, "Get the hell out of my car! I can do this myself." And I was like, "Fuck it, go ahead." And he
This
did.
is the customer.
The customer, yeah, because I was young. I was like maybe 15. So
I mean, who are you going to argue with? Like,
yeah,
it's
mean,
his car.
I'm the vacuum boy. Sure, fucking get in your cars, have at it. And he missed.
You earned this, sir.
He missed it and drove his car into the bay.
Like into the ditch?
Yeah, because he wasn't following my guides. Like straight back to the left, straight back, and his car is 3/4 of the way down the bay. Made this crash like it was a car crash.
Like it was a car that fell down into
Like
a
a-
concrete
Yeah.
hole.
He couldn't get out because it's pinning him, on the one side. His glasses are all crooked. He's looking at me, and I'm like, well, that's on you, buddy. He had to climb out his passenger side door because his car was like,
Are there people always down there in the little pit thing?
yeah, but they're not like looking up until it's time to do their oil.
They're like, go back into your cubby. And then this big ass car comes crashing down.
Also, totally not related to me at all, but there used to be a thing. So, ladies, keep note, if you're going in the summertime, if there was an attractive woman waiting in the waiting room, somebody would call her over to her car.
Get out of here.
You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lots of guys got fired for that.
I bet.
Luckily,
At least they got fired for
I know,
it.
they
That's
probably
good.
should've.
they got fired quick because they got caught. And,
Oh, that's so scummy.
Do you remember? God, do you remember when we worked at the Verizon store in Catonsville, and they had when when an attractive woman would come in the store,
Code 222.
222.
Yeah,
Somebody
say
would
that.
call 222 on the intercom and like be like, "Oh, 222 by the front door." and
You
then-
would see all the technicians that
Right,
worked
it
on the
was like-
phones.
It was like
come running out.
zombies. Zombies would just come to the front of the store. And just,
People look around and know you. This many employees around here.
I'm here for the 222.
God, it's so ridiculous.
Guys are such dirtbags.
What was your worst job, Joe?
Oh man, I don't know. Like all my jobs have been like kind of fun. I haven't had to do anything terrible. I mean, working for the garbage company sucked, but
You weren't doing garbage.
yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I was doing.
was
like,
slinging
I was doing,
cans.
I was doing sales and stuff, and I worked with cool people. I don't know. I don't think I
I
had
can almost
a
guess.
terrible job.
Steve has had a shitty job or two.
Of course, I mean, probably probably working in a restaurant. It was called the Middleborough Inn. I was a sanitary technician.
Does that mean you clean dishes?
As a dishwasher, yeah. For every application I put on, like when I was in my teenagers, when I was like, I put sanitary technician on it. But yeah, because I was just the grunt of the kitchen, and this place didn't pass like
the health
it
inspections.
it kept always getting health inspection things. There was a pot that I remember was flipped over, and they were like, "Steve, go in the back and get the pot to boil potatoes or whatever." And I flipped it over. It was just like a family of rats ran out underneath it, and it was so gross. And I remember
Is this still around? Because I haven't heard of it.
it was called the Middleborough Inn. It is no longer around.
What's it called now?
It's not, I don't think it's anything now. So
Tore that bitch down.
yeah. I actually, because I know it's in Essex somewhere, but it was on Middleborough Road, of course. But
You don't
I don't
say.
think it ever became anything else. But you would go in there, and my friends and I worked there, so it was just we'd goof around and stuff like that. But so that part was fun. But then when they were like the health boards coming, we need the kitchen grunts to climb underneath the sink and spray this wall. I remember spraying this wall, and it looked like it moved because there was just so many bugs on it. And I'm like this 15-year-old spraying this thing, trying to scrape all these bugs off.
Burn the whole place down.
It was so gross. And then they would do things like, if you brought food back, of course, if we'd be like, somebody
Really?
wouldn't eat, they would send it back
that's
out with
tough.
somebody else. I remember one time somebody, one of my buddies was like, "Look, they sent back all these these potato skins. Do you want them?" I was like, "Yeah," because we had to pay for our meals
Yeah.
if we wanted to eat there. So I was like, "Yeah." So I started eating these potato skins, and he starts laughing. And he pulled them all out of the trash. So I was just eating.
That's so
somebody's-
messed up.
I will say that place. I did. I should probably save this for another episode.
I'll go for it.
I mean, I would love to tell you about my ADT manager story, but I'm definitely going to wait. Why don't we just do the next episode, Steve?
All right,
You and me, we're just I mean, it's a good one.
I will. I'll tease it. I'll tease it.
Oh, cliffhanger.
Ooh,
All right,
for
I'll
a week
tease-
you gotta stew on this.
I'll tease it a little bit. This restaurant closed down, and there were laws I read about that you can't take liquor out of a restaurant that's closed, and you could sell kitchen equipment for people. I'm really butchering this.
This
tease.
is a terrible
This is
tease.
Let me do it again. Hold on.
Can you do it again? Is that how we do these things? Right?
I don't know. I can't
We're-
really tease it again.
We're
Okay,
one
so
take Tommies.
I know, but this awful tease.
Tony.
You can be Tony. I'll be Tommy.
So next week, I'll tell you about how I robbed a restaurant.
You couldn't have done that any better.
That's a good one.
I just real quick. I know we got to get going here in a minute.
Well, I mean,
Well, good. My time management skills strike again. I remember early on, not when we met, but when we started hanging out a lot, I remembered I remember you telling me about you working at the library, and you were like legitimately bragging about how good you were at the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah. I remember they told me no one had ever done the Dewey Decimal System test and got 100%, and I did. I thought I was so fucking cool.
His boy's going places.
And like deep into his 20s, he's like still bragging about this accolade.
God, I forgot about that. I did do that. I put it on my application, my resume.
Do you still have that application or that resume?
About the Dewey Decimal System?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on a floppy disk.
Yeah, it was handwritten. No, I don't have that.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us for another show.
Another show in the can.
That's it.
We're doing it. So where somebody tell us where we go to find each other.
If you want to find out about this wonderful podcast or message us, please do it on Twitter at JimJoeSteve.
And tweet at us because we would love to read some tweets.
We would like to get more than 3 followers.
Well,
tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like.
Tell us who you don't like.
Tell us who you don't. Oh,
This could be a floating podcast
because
because the least favorite host could be out.
I mean, it could easily be the Jim Joe show. It could be the Joe Steve show.
We're just gonna get another person named another like Jim, or so we could just keep the name.
If
we'll just change their name. It could be Bill and be like, oh, no, you're Steve now.
Yeah.
I mean, then you gotta redo our cover art, their jingle.
We could do that like Face Off, John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. We could just switch faces. You're out. Time to switch faces.
All right, guys. Please follow us on Twitter, JimJoeSteve.
Tell a couple people, and hope to see you back here. What?
Next week?
Maybe like 7 days.
Thanks for hanging out.
Hump day.
See ya.
Bye.